Today, we're unearthing a cosmic mystery. It really stretches from a Puerto Rican observatory all the way to an English crop field.
Right.
It kicked off back in 1974. Humanity basically sent its clearest, most deliberate hello out into the cosmos.
A really intentional message.
Exactly. But what if, almost 3 decades later, someone actually said hello back? Not, through a radio signal, but via this incredibly precise, intricate pattern that just appeared in a field.
That's right. And our mission today is to really dive deep into that story. We'll look at the famous 1974 Arecibo message first.
Okay.
And then we'll meticulously dissect this profoundly complex crop circle from 2001. A lot of people believe it was a direct extraterrestrial response.
Wow.
We've pulled from discussions, analyses, lots of takes on these events. And we're here to help you understand what makes this whole alleged cosmic dialogue so utterly captivating.
We're going to try and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from these sources for you. Give you a shortcut to getting properly informed on this cosmic riddle. So let's start at the beginning then. Let's unpack the original cosmic postcard. The Arecibo message, 1974.
Okay.
Now, this wasn't just some random blip. It was deliberate, an incredibly powerful broadcast put together by scientists, famously spearheaded by the legend Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan, yeah.
Yeah.
A huge name in this field.
Absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, American astronomer, cosmologist, astrobiologist, huge science communicator, known for his work on extraterrestrial intelligence.
Exactly.
And this message, it was beamed out from the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico, sent via radio waves.
And when you say powerful, that's almost an understatement, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
this transmission was, at the time anyway, the most powerful radio broadcast ever sent into space by anyone. Like 1,000,000 times stronger than a typical radio or TV signal we use here.
1,000,000 times. Wow. And it had a specific target.
It did. Highly specific. The M13 star cluster, which is this dense collection of stars over 25,000 light years away.
25,000 light years. So we weren't expecting a quick reply.
Definitely not.
Right.
And the design of the message itself was really ingenious. It's basically a black and white picture, but encoded in binary code.
Binary, okay. Ones and zeros.
Precisely. Crafted so it could be hopefully universally understandable, regardless of language.
Okay, so if you're trying to say hello to aliens, what information do you lead with? What did we actually put in this thing?
Well, it was remarkably detailed, designed as a sort of primer on Earth and life here. It started with the basics, we count, from 1 to 10. Then it highlighted 5 key atoms, the ones we see as foundational to life. Hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus.
The CHNOPS elements, basically.
Exactly. And from there, it showed how these atoms form key molecules. Things like thymine, adenine, guanine, cytosine.
The DNA base.
The very bases of our DNA, yeah. Plus the sugar and phosphate backbone that holds it all together.
So we were literally trying to teach basic biochemistry. What was the thinking there? Was it like trying to find common ground or just giving a full picture?
I think it was an attempt at both, really. You start with something fundamental like numbers, then you move to chemistry, which would be universal. The hope was to build a common language.
Makes sense.
And yeah, it absolutely included our biology. It showed the double helix structure of our DNA, indicated it's made of about 4 billion links in the chain.
4 billion.
Then it showed a little figure, a human representation about 5 feet tall.
A stick figure. Or more detailed.
More of a pictogram, really. And it stated our population at the time, roughly 4 billion, living on the 3rd planet from our star.
So it placed us in our solar system, too.
It did. It even showed our solar system. 9 planets in total, with 4 big gas giants towards the outside and 1 little one at the end.
Pluto getting its moment.
Right. And finally, the message included a diagram of the thing that sent it, the Arecibo radio telescope itself, that massive dish over 1,000 feet across.
The sheer ambition of sending that. It's incredible. What do you think was the biggest hurdle for Sagan and the team? Trying to make something truly universal.
Oh, definite universality. That's the core challenge. How do you talk to someone with 0 shared context? No common language, no symbols you both recognize.
Where do you even start?
Their solution was maths and physics, things we assume hold true everywhere. Binary code, atomic numbers, DNA structure. These are all attempts to speak in a language of, well, objective reality, I suppose.
It's a massive act of abstraction, really, boiling down humanity to its scientific basics.
Absolutely, a monumental task.
Okay, so fast forward. Here's where it gets really, really interesting. For 27 years, nothing. Silence.
Right.
Then, 2001, something truly astonishing appears. A crop circle. It just materializes in a field right next door to the UK's Chilbolton Radio Telescope ground.
In Hampshire, England. Yeah, that's the UK's largest telescope and observatory right there.
And the description. It looked, well, remarkably similar, almost identical, some say, to our 1974 Arecibo message.
And what makes this specific one so compelling, so hard to just dismiss, is that it's widely seen as one of the most impressive, most complex crop formations ever recorded.
Really? More so than others.
Significantly so, according to many researchers. Which makes the Hooks explanation, well, more difficult for some people to accept.
And there's something about security footage.
Yeah. Adding to the mystery, reports claimed Chilbolton's security cameras detected no unusual activity whatsoever on the morning it appeared.
Huh. No little green men with flattening tools, then.
Apparently not. And interestingly, this wasn't the only weird glyph to show up nearby around that time. There's a whole sequence.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, first, a fractal crop glyph appeared, very close to the Chilbolton Radio Telescope.
A fractal. Okay, so even before the Arecibo reply, there was this other complex pattern. For listeners, what exactly is a fractal again?
Good question. Fractals are basically these fascinating mathematical patterns that repeat themselves at different sizes, different scales.
Like snowflakes or coastlines?
Exactly like that, yeah. They show self-similarity. So, finding one in a crop field, well, it suggested a pretty deep mathematical understanding. Some argue that points beyond, your average hoaxer, suggest something non-random, maybe intelligent.
Okay, so the fractal first, then what?
Then, about a year later, an even stranger glyph popped up. A face.
A face.
Yeah, and apparently it bore a striking resemblance to that July 1976 Viking image, the famous face on Mars.
Oh, that face. The one from Mars.
Yeah.
Wow, that's specific. You mentioned the Enterprise mission earlier in relation to this.
Yes, the Enterprise mission. They're a private research group known for some pretty controversial theories about space anomalies, and they were heavily involved in analyzing and publicizing things like the Mars face.
Okay.
Their discussion of the timing and appearance of these crop circles, especially the face, definitely added another layer to the whole narrative.
The fractal, then the Mars-like face.
And then, just 5 days after the faith glyph appeared, this thing called the Persian carpet glyph materialized. Same field. Just a few hundred feet from the face.
The Persian carpet.
That was the nickname for it. And this was the one. The dead ringer. The formation that looked so incredibly close to our Arecibo message, appearing 27 years after we sent ours. Thousands of miles away.
So you have this incredibly complex pattern. It shows up seemingly out of nowhere. No one saw anything. And it looks almost exactly like a specific complex message we sent into deep space decades earlier.
Pretty much sums it up.
Okay. So what are the strongest arguments from those who think it is genuinely extraterrestrial? And what do the skeptics hang their hats on?
Well, for the proponents, it's the sheer precision, the math, the speed it appeared in, and the way the crops were laid down, flattened and woven in ways that are apparently really hard to fake without leaving obvious signs.
Right.
And the specific scientific changes in the message itself, which we'll get into, are huge for them. Skeptics, though, they point to the lack of any other verifiable alien contact ever.
The usual argument, yeah.
And the long history of very clever, very intricate crop circle hoaxes made by humans. Plus, the general improbability of aliens choosing crop fields in Hampshire to communicate.
It does seem a bit quaint.
Doesn't it? Skeptics suggest skilled human artists, maybe using GPS, lasers, working secretly at night, could potentially pull it off. But you have to admit, reconciling the details with known human capabilities, it does stretch the imagination.
It really does. That's the heart of the mystery, isn't it? But here's the truly mind-blowing part for me. Not just the similarities, but the differences.
Exactly. That's where it gets fascinating.
If we put them side by side, the basic number system, the decimal equivalents of the binary, that stayed the same from Arecibo. So the language was consistent.
The foundation was kept, yes.
But there were some profound changes. What's the first big one?
The atomic numbers. The list of essential elements for life. It was altered.
How so?
Specifically, silicon. Atomic number 14. It was added precisely in the correct sequence, right between oxygen and phosphorus.
Silicon, so not just carbon-based life.
That's the implication. It's not just a minor tweak. It fundamentally challenges our whole carbon-centric view of life. It suggests, potentially, a completely different biochemistry out there.
Wow. That forces you to think way outside the box about what life even is.
Absolutely. It expands the possibilities enormously.
So the message isn't just hi back, it's kind of like hi back, and by the way, your biology. A bit basic.
Huh. It does feel a bit like a cosmic mic drop, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the next big biological change,
What was that?
the DNA depiction. Remember, ours showed the double helix?
Yes.
The new message added an extra strand of DNA to that picture.
An extra strand, so a triple helix.
Seemingly, yes, implying maybe a more complex genetic system. Or just a totally different evolutionary path. Again, broadening the whole concept of life's building blocks.
A triple helix.
Yeah.
That's a huge biological difference. Okay, what about the sender? Our telescope was in the original message. Was it in the reply?
Not quite our telescope. The reply included a much more detailed diagram of their sending device, or maybe receiving device, at the base. It looked way more complex than the simple dish we showed for Arecibo.
Suggesting more advanced tech.
Possibly, yeah. Or just different. But maybe the most reality-bending change was about our own solar system.
Okay, here we go. What did they suggest about our neighborhood?
This is wild. The glyph seems to depict how our solar system used to be. It states that the asteroid belt, between Mars and Jupiter,
Yeah.
it used to be a planet.
Wait, what? A whole planet? Where the asteroid belt is now?
That's what the glyph indicates. Imagine that. It's not just a minor detail. It completely challenges our understanding of our own solar system's history.
If that turned out to be true, what would that even mean? How would we even process that?
Yeah.
A lost planet.
It would force a total rewrite, wouldn't it? Astronomy, geology, planetary formation, probably philosophy and religion, too. If some outside intelligence could tell us our own history better than we know it ourselves, that fundamentally changes everything about our place in the cosmos, our whole origin story.
It really makes you stop and think.
Wow. And it went even further. It indicated that Earth, Mars, and that former planet in the asteroid belt, they were all inhabited at the time.
Inhabited Earth, Mars, and Planet X at the same time.
According to the interpretation of that glyph, yes. Inhabited when this information, this perspective was current.
So, okay. Let's just, for a moment, entertain the idea. This is genuine. What's the takeaway message? We've got silicon-based life, triple helix DNA, a lost inhabited planet in our own backyard.
It suggests life might be chemically far more diverse than we usually think.
Right.
It implies complex life, maybe even intelligent life, could have existed right here in our solar system in ways we've never imagined. Mars, this other planet.
It's a completely different history.
It is. Now, it's really crucial we stress our discussion today is about laying out the ideas from the source material, presenting the incredible possibilities people have talked about. We're not endorsing it as fact.
Of course, we're exploring the what if.
Exactly. But the details in that glyph, they are what make it so compelling to consider, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you look at the sheer ingenuity behind it, whether it's aliens or humans, creating this complex, thought-provoking echo of our own message, it's truly remarkable.
It really is.
The precise details we've talked about, adding silicon just so, the extra DNA strand, the different telescope diagram, and especially rewriting our solar system's past. It makes this particular crop circle stand out. It wasn't random scribbles. It was a structured reply with deeply meaningful changes.
And that leads us to a final thought, maybe for you to ponder. What would be the most profound implication if those changes? The silicon, the DNA, the lost planet were actually a genuine attempt by an ET civilization to communicate biological or historical facts.
What would be the biggest impact?
Just consider the incredible leap in understanding it would mean for us. Not just about them, but about ourselves, our origins, our place in the universe. It forces us to question everything we assume, to look deeper into the unknown, and just to imagine possibilities far, far beyond what we currently grasp.